Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for another edition of Adventures in Careerland. Hello, everyone. I'm Adriano Magnifico. I'm the Career and Entrepreneurship Consultant at the Louis Riel School Division, and we're broadcasting live from the Louis Riel Arts and Technology Center. And I'm working in the broadcast media program with able students who help me in this program and produce this podcast, and have been doing so for, we're getting on a year now. And that's Zoe Kruzik. Zoe, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
All right. And they've been busy out on the fields of football. You can talk about that in a minute. These provincial football finals, because of the broadcast media group, they are out there in the cold.
In the snow.
In the snow. I like it.
In the rain.
In the rain.
In the rain, yeah.
Yes. And we're also with Akira Sakaki, who's also a member of this broadcast media program. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm very good. So tell me about, you've been out in the snow and the rain and the sleet. You people should be post office workers, not broadcast media people. How has that experience been? Has this given you a little extra, impetus to love this program you've chosen? Or are you going, what have I done?
No, it's actually, I love it even more.
Yeah, you know what?
It's so much fun.
That's what you wanted. That's like what you were looking for to do. When you join this program, that's what you want to do. So it actually makes you love it more.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Why? It's snow, it's hail, it's sleet.
No, it's like you're actually out there doing stuff as a team, and like it's a real life experience kind of thing. So for me, I love doing it. I mean, Zoe, you can talk about being outside because I got lucky and I stayed inside the last 2 days.
Well, I was outside in like the snowstorm last Wednesday with a handheld camera. And surprisingly, even though it was cold, like I didn't feel cold. Like it was just...
Yeah, because you were running.
Well, okay, true. That's true. But it was still, like, it didn't bother me. It was so much fun.
That's honestly the
hardest. It made me like this
like,
job better, actually.
You probably have the hardest job. Handheld definitely has the hardest job, having to, like, the thing, too, you have to be in their faces. You want to be, like, as close as you can without being on the field, you know? And
you know what? I was talking to Zoe before we began this, and we were just talking a bit about how great an experience this is to talk about in an interview. You're not just sitting in a warm, heat-controlled room.
Yeah.
You're outside in the inclement weather, trying to run this, trying to keep your lens clean, trying to keep up with physical people running on the field or slipping and sliding themselves. So I think this is a great resume piece for you guys, that when you talk about your experience, if you don't talk about those moments outside, when you're digging in the trenches with those players, you're like a football player out there, but you're in a different role.
Yeah.
If you don't talk about that, I think you're making a big mistake. It's pretty cool. Anyway, good for you guys. And I feel your pain because they just mentioned to me their Snapchat's not working. And as a young person, I guess that's akin to what? No food or water, or no heat or light, or it's just awful for you.
Human necessity.
I don't give a rat's petunia, but I know you two do. So
I can live without it. If Akira didn't point it out, I wouldn't have known.
I can live without it. I just decide not to.
Akira's on his phone right now.
Well, I'm checking if it's working.
I must get back on Snapchat.
I'm checking if it's
come
working.
Back to me. I see you talk to your phone a lot. I think you have a lot of personal problems. You might need to see a guidance counselor on that. But that's okay. I think that's fun.
Talk to my phone a lot.
You talk to your phone a lot. You know what my wife says? I'm one of those old guys on the progressive commercials. You know what I'm talking about? Where on those commercials they try to train old guys how to be more contemporary and how to use their phones. I turn my phone on in Costco and put it on speakerphone and walk around talking. Where my wife's going, you're like that progressive commercial. You need to stop doing that in a public place.
Get wireless earbuds.
I know, but still, even walking around, I see people doing that. It's such a goofy looking thing.
I do it.
Yeah, you do it.
I had to do it during our football game.
I'm just an old guy. I'm sorry.
Actually, I'll point that out too. Like, we have communication, we have intercom throughout our entire team when we do broadcasts, except handhelds. They're actually out there deaf. They can't hear anything we're saying.
So you're just running for your lives out there.
And they don't know when we're live, so we actually put them on a phone call with the director. So they're like screaming on the other end of a phone call with the director.
I love this, but look at this stuff you're learning. I love that that's going on because you have to figure it out. You have to problem solve.
No,
gotta make it work.
Hard.
I love it.
That was problem solving.
I could talk to you guys all day. We have a special guest today, a really cool guest. This is a guest, again, another blast from the past. Our program is all about Adventures in Careerland, is about Careerland. It's about those spaces in our lives where we're thinking about, okay, what kind of calls did we make in our life? Why did we make them? What worked? What experiences did we choose? Who did we connect with? And we find this inspiring stuff for people to listen to. That's what we've been told by some of our 8 or 9 listeners anyway. And they find these stories interesting because they see similarities in them. And our guest today is a really bright guy that I taught way back when, 1999 at River East Collegiate, a graduate. And he was one of these folks who chose the program we were running there. It was an option called the Career Internship Program. And he excelled in the program, took the entrepreneurship program and just excelled. And we're going to learn more about what he's been doing and how the program influenced him. Sean Sylvestre. I'm looking at the name Jordan Kendall here. Sean Sylvestre is our guest today. And he's also, I'll tell you, he just received an award. What? Top 40, under 40 award. So Sean, welcome and tell us what that award's about.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. Yeah, in 2019, I was named one of Canada's top 40 under 40.
I saw that actually. I saw that on the news.
It was super cool. We had like Michelle Romanow sitting at the table next to us from Dragon's Den, and it was a bit overwhelming, to be honest. We're sitting in the room with a bunch of multimillionaires and kind of going, "Why am I here?" But it was a very cool experience, and I was really appreciative to have that opportunity. So it was great.
So I love this. What worries me though is you're under 40, so you must be close to 40, which makes me feel like I'm
100.
Thank you very much.
Very nice of you.
I am 40 now. I nipped in
You're
just
40.
under the wire.
Yeah, you got under the wire. Well played, sir. Well played. So you had a bigger advantage because your life experience had a huge advantage getting that award because you had so many opportunities to build your repertoire.
Almost everybody nipped in at 39. We're all 39-year-olds.
Well played, everyone. I love it. So, Sean, way back when you were at River East Collegiate, you're a grade 11 or 12 kid, like my 2 student producers here. What was going through your head as you were going through high school?
Honestly, at the beginning, it was, hey, wait a minute. They're going to put us through classes quicker for the last, 12 weeks. I don't have to be in school. This is fantastic.
Well, you're talking about the Career Internship Program, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The Career Internship Program was phenomenal because we got to do some entrepreneur stuff, and I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, so it sort of fit my interest. So it was, I mean, at that time, let's be honest, we all think we know what we want to do, or we think we know where we're headed, and life has other things for us that we're not aware of at that time. And I think, like most of the students, that was where I was at that time.
Hey, I love what you're saying. I really do believe career development has a happenstance quality to it. Do you know what I mean? Where you just got to be ready for the unexpected and embrace it and just be ready to step outside your comfort zone, like stepping onto that football field, Zoe, in the cold and the sleet and the rain and the hail. And that's kind of a metaphor for life, though, for me. So when you're thinking there, talk about your family business. You said you're a bit of an entrepreneurial family, kind of a big entrepreneurial family. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so my parents owned the business. So after school, sometimes if Dad was working late and Mom was working late, we'd be at the store, sort of playing with the phones, playing on the intercoms, just sort of trying to stay out of the way. It was a little bit different life than maybe some others have experienced, but it sort of introduced us to that world.
Now, what was the world exactly, Sean? It was a world of what? Like, and it sounds like, to be fair, it sounds like you were being a bit of a pest to your parents, but that's okay.
Totally.
But what was the world? You said you're, optometry?
Yeah, it was opticianry. So, for lack of a better term, we're like the pharmacist, right? The doctor provides the prescription and we provide the apparatus. So, we got to help people choose glasses. You got to try on all sorts of sunglasses and that type of stuff. So it was interesting. Dinner conversations were around business and finance and, trying to make payroll and some of these things that most 8-10-year-olds don't get to have discussions about. So it was different. It certainly provided a very different perspective growing up.
Well, you must have had the best glasses, though.
You know what? Of course, I didn't need them, right? I have options to take whatever I want, and I didn't need them.
Oh, that's good.
It
So you
was
had
terrible.
20/20. Do you still have 20/20 vision?
No, now I'm old.
You're old. You know what? I have glasses behind my retinas. That's how old I'm getting here. So,
I have glasses
There you
too.
go.
okay, sorry, Zoe. Glasses are cool. Okay, they're hip and cool. She
You know
was
what,
all,
Zoe-
she was all upset, like her self-esteem had been destroyed. But
So the difference is, Zoe, the reason I need glasses now is because the muscles in my eyes aren't strong enough for reading. So that's what I mean. That's typically associated with age. That's why I say I'm old.
No,
It
I have
wasn't
mine
a
for
shot at
reading
young
as
people.
well.
Okay, well, then that's all your Snapchat.
that's
Okay.
I like that, Sean. Get off that Snapchat, girl. That's the end of it. And Akira, you got something in your brain here. I can see your mind floating here.
No, I was just thinking because you're saying like you got to do like you were at a table talking about all this business kind of stuff, and you mentioned like payroll, and that's kind of like. Is that not stressful for someone who's, you said, like 10 years old, sitting there talking about like making payroll and stuff
Yeah.
like that?
You mean like pass the potatoes and how's the payroll going? Is it
Yeah,
a
like
long
you're
thing?
sitting
Yeah.
there. Does that not feel like, I would say like almost growing up too fast, eh?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Well,
there's part of that. I think at the end of the day, you hear the conversation, but at 10 years old, you don't totally understand what the ramifications are.
yeah.
When they're talking about payroll and, maybe having to move money around or, this receivables coming in, it doesn't click for you. It doesn't click for you what that means or how it's going to affect you. You understand the words. It wasn't until I was much older that I actually understood what those things meant.
Well, that's kind of funny too. I can imagine the dinner conversation. So what about those accounts receivable? I don't know. The receivable.
That might
like,
be a
it's-
little boring for dinner.
dinner. No
It,
one's talking.
it was not great. Yeah, learning about debits and credits at the table.
Anyway, but those terms became commonplace in terms of their existence in your life, though.
Absolutely. Yeah, over
Okay.
time they definitely did.
Okay. That's kind of neat, though. So you're bringing up there. What'd you do for school then? You finished high school, and you were an entrepreneur in the high school. Do you remember what your entrepreneurial venture was at River East in grade 12?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I don't recall exactly what we did there because I went into Red River College and did the business program there.
Yes, yes.
And we did a business plan there too. So no, I don't specifically remember. I do remember that we did a pitch for Western Glove Works.
Yes. Do you remember that? That was amazing. Tell that story because that's an amazing story.
Yeah, that's. I'm not even sure how it all happened totally, but there was some event that several schools were involved in, and you had our program in there. And I guess the moderator, each school got to ask a question in rotation. And I just, when it was my turn to ask, I basically just said, "Hey, instead of all this, why don't we just come pitch our marketing ideas to you?" And
when
Bob
you
Silver,
say to you, you're talking to Bob Silver, right?
Bob Silver, yeah, he's the president of Western Glove Works, like Silver Jeans.
Yeah, and this guy's a major business player on I think in the Manitoba Business Council and all kinds of business councils, right? In Manitoba.
Yeah, isn't he one of the owners of the Winnipeg Free Press as well? Like,
Yes,
yeah,
the guy's a major entrepreneur in Winnipeg. And you as a high
Yeah.
school kid said, "Hey, why are we wasting our time here talking to you? We just want to come in and pitch you at Western Glove, the building." And what did these guys say?
yeah, they came back right away and said, "All right, let's set it up."
Oh my gosh. And I'll never forget what happened because we all went down to Western Glove. And I love that you rekindled this story because I forgot about it. You reminded me of it yesterday when we were chatting. I remember sitting in that room and you guys were pitching this marketing plan for, was it Silver Jeans?
Yeah,
Silver Jeans, which is their specialty. Do they still do Silver Jeans?
Like silver, like with like silver.
The brand.
Net. Oh,
the brand Silver.
A
The brand Silver.
Oh, I've never heard of
I
that.
thought you meant like, because I know that in athletic wear you can actually get like silver clothing, like they'll have like silver knitted into the fibers, and it's actually good for your health.
And
No, Silver was the brand. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, maybe it was jeans made out
but
of.
it was
silver.
high end. It was a high end premium brand in those
Oh,
days,
sweet.
right? Kids would like to wear silver.
oh yeah, those jeans were like $80, $100.
Yeah, in
Oh,
those
wow.
days. In those
Yeah,
days.
in
So-
those days.
Yeah.
So they're more expensive now, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
Inflation.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So you do this presentation. Do you remember what he said to you at the end?
You know what's funny is I didn't remember what he said until you and I spoke yesterday.
Well, I can
Um,
tell you what he said. Like the guy, here's Silver listening to this presentation, and you guys are pitching about how to market your jeans to the youth demographic. And he says, "You know what? I just paid $50,000 for a marketing company to tell me what you just told me.
Dang.
But he loved it, and he kind of
unfortunate.
chuckled about it because this was a guy who had, marketing teams and marketing organizations working with him. But you guys nailed it. That was one of the great moments in our program because he said, "What's this program? What are you guys doing? How did you have a mindset like this? How did you come to this?" And that was one of those great moments about the career internship program. We were constantly connecting with people outside and not just doing internships. We're looking for projects like that have a real life application.
It was awesome. I think my internship was with the Winnipeg Cyclone basketball at the time.
Oh, you remember those days? Oh my gosh. And we were doing all the work. There used to be a professional basketball team in this town called the Winnipeg Cyclone. And
yeah, we did all the production work.
Yes. And it was a project. We did all the work that was going on between the whistles, right? With people running around.
Yeah, all the promos.
All the promos and everything. I remember you put me on a three-wheeler because I was in the crowd once. Just because you grabbed me out of there, I had to run up and down the floor, ride up and down the floor in a three-wheeler. But that was amazing stuff. Like we had some amazing partnerships.
Oh, absolutely.
Cool. Yeah. So you were part of that team. I forgot you were a Cyclone guy. That's pretty cool. And Daryl Dawkins was on that team. Do you remember that?
Dawkins, he was a player coach at the time.
That's right. NBA. He was awesome.
Yeah, and actually the announcer, the public address announcer was John Liu, who's now with TSN in Montreal.
I never remembered that. That's amazing. So look at the guys you connected with. So now you've got something very cool going now, though, because we connected. When I saw that 40 under 40, I thought, boy, they've chosen the right guy for this because of what you've discovered about yourself moving forward in this optometry, in this, what?
Optometry.
Optometry, there you go. Do or do not. There is no try. So I tried it out. I did it, and that's what goes on. Anyway, in this field that you've chosen, you're moving along, and tell this story of how you've got a very cool company called Mobile Vision Care Clinic. So you worked in the family company doing eyes and optometry and that kind of work, and then you discovered this kind of hybrid, this little offshoot, this corollary. How did this come about? And I want you to explain what you do in this job. First, talk about how it came about, and then what you do in it.
Absolutely. So the first thing I would say to all your listeners, especially the ones going through high school, is network as much as you possibly can. Meet as many people as you can, because it's amazing how some of your paths cross later in life. And that's ultimately what happened here. We started with the Winnipeg School Division, and I was approached by a friend of mine that I'd known for several years who was an EA, and they were trying to figure out how to bring vision care services to more vulnerable communities, so ones that are affected a little bit more by poverty and those types of things, where it's not easy for the family to take their family out to get care. And they were looking at, is there an opportunity to do a mobile type eye clinic right in the schools? So, I just got approached about it and said, hey, could you do this? And we basically said, yeah, I don't see why not. And I think 2 days later, he had me talking with one of the directors, and I'll never forget this moment, because we came in, quick pleasantries, and it's like, okay, I need this, this, and this. Are you going to be able to do it for me? And it was like, here's your Dragon's Den moment. Pitch me. And we were like 2 minutes into the conversation. So it was a little bit of a terrifying experience, to be honest. And we just said, yeah, I don't see why not. Let's do it. And I think 3 days later, we were running our first clinic. So it was, I think to some degree, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to some degree, I think that I was maybe a bit brash and said, yeah, of course we can do this, because I didn't think she was going to put me on the spot to start 3 days later. But I think I said to you yesterday, I found in my experience that necessity has been the mother of all invention. Because I kind of said we could do it, I had to find a way to do it. And we did. And we did. And we had a very successful pilot and managed to help a lot of students. We saw some phenomenal results. I think on average, the students that were struggling were going up almost a grade level and a half in literacy almost immediately after receiving eyeglasses. So it was a very cool experience, and it kind of developed from there. And now we work with several divisions, including the Louis Riel School Division, providing these type of clinics.
So, okay, I think it just kind of clicked. I just realized exactly what this is. So this is like, you're actually going to the schools and you're setting up like in the gym, and then you're having students come in and get like their eyes checked. Is that what it is?
That's exactly what it is, yeah.
So it's kind of like, I don't know, like when you're in grade 6, there's a day where you get all your vaccinations done. So you all pile into the gym and they vaccinate you all, right? Like something like that, but just for like...
It's that kind of idea, yeah.
That's actually a fantastic idea. Like, it just clicked why this is such a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It is a great idea.
There's two big deals. First of all, now, can kids afford this, Sean, or do you take care of those pieces too?
Yeah, so that's a big part of
huge.
Like we're a social enterprise, right? So as much as we did all the balance sheet talk at the table, our business is not profit centric. So ours is about access. So when it comes to the eye exams, yeah, the province of Manitoba does pay for the eye exam for children under the age of 19. So that part was never the issue. The problem is that there is a pocket of individuals who cannot afford the glasses. So having a prescription and not being able to afford the glasses didn't help. So what we've done is we found some very great partners, and essentially what we do is between ourselves and our partners, we donate eyeglasses to those families who basically would otherwise have to do without. So we probably donate about 20 to 30% of all the glasses that the doctors prescribe free of charge to the family.
See, that's the big piece. Like, you've made it accessible. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Different kinds
this was meant, our program was meant as an equity program.
Yes, and this is huge because what you've discovered, I think, is very cool. And the problem-solving piece here is the pure problem-solving piece about, hey, our kids' literacy rates are really low. Well, let's keep making them read. What if they can't read?
What if they can't see?
What if they can't see is the point, right?
It's a genius idea. Like, honestly, it just clicked when you started to explain how you were like, oh yeah, we can do this, and then you had to pitch it 3 days later. I realized how important this is, and how, like, this is a fantastic idea to be able to just go to schools and help, like, hold these clinics. That's such a good idea.
Well, and to make it accessible,
yeah.
Your socioeconomic status is irrelevant. We will get you the glasses.
No, that's a fantastic. It's a great idea.
It's amazing. Do you understand why he won a top 40?
No, 100%. Because I can see this. I watch Shark Tank at least 3 times a week. Like, I'll sit on YouTube and I'll just watch like funny, like, pitches and stuff. And this is something that I could actually see getting pitched on like Shark Tank, because it's such a good idea to, like, if you got there and you said like, okay, I have this idea where we would set up mobile clinics and we would go to school to test like getting students' eyes tested. And then, like, being able to, give them that I guess, like, give them that option to get, like, those glasses they need, even if, like, their social economic status isn't,
And it's pretty cool. I've been to your clinic, and I've seen where kids are choosing their glasses. Like, it's a cool moment, isn't it? Like, how do you feel when they're sitting there choosing their kind of eyeglass wear? Because you've given them that cool option.
Yeah, that part's super cool, because, like, we've actually had families and students. Like, one thing I love about working with students is they're very innocent and they say what's on their mind, and they don't hold a lot back. So it's amazing how many times we've had students go, "Oh yeah, I know I need glasses. Mom can't afford them," and we're just like, "What?"
That's so
and
sad.
it's awful. It's gut wrenching, and to be able to see the smile as these kids are picking the frame, but more so when we deliver them. Once we bring them to them and they put them on and go, oh, that's what it's like to see. Well, that's the part that's kind of the part that really hits home.
Oh, yeah. You're nailing it, man. And you know what? I can just imagine a kid's looking at a blurred page. Teachers has this expectation saying, you're not keeping up. You're not doing this. You're falling behind. And then suddenly these letters become clear. That must be one of the great elucidations of a kid's life, that he or she or they can see the page.
You know what?
It's amazing.
It never came to me. I never thought that could be a reason why there's struggles at school.
So you get that entrepreneurs need to look at not just what seems to be the problem,
but what could be the problem,
but what actually is the problem, and how to dig around that. So what came to this realization? You said and literally, like, we can see the fruit of your labor, because their grade levels go up, right? Their grade level reading skill goes up, right?
Absolutely.
So
yeah, numeracy and literacy are affected tremendously in a very positive way.
And you're seeing those numbers rise for kids who get the glasses. How cool is that? How does that make you feel?
You know what? There's times I think in entrepreneurship where you have to drag yourself there, you know, where things get tough, and that moment that has made it so we don't have that. Like I don't have those days where I hate what I do, because fundamentally what I'm doing is helping other people. And I think that's been a big reason why myself and my team do what we do, because we're all driven by the outcome and how we're able to influence people's lives in a very positive way. So that's been a great motivator for us.
Hey, talk about your team then. Like, what kind of team? Who's a member? What are the parts of your team? And do you all feel the same way you do? Like, is this just a mission from God kind of stuff, and we're just happy to be a part of it?
Yeah, so we're pretty careful when we select team members, because what we do is very busy, and we're constantly problem solving, right? There's always something new that pops up. So to be able to work with us, you really have to share in our vision and our mission. If you're not mission centric, it's very difficult to work and do what we do. So that's very important in our culture and how we kind of cultivate the culture. And we have independent doctors who work with us. So the doctors are independent for a number of reasons. One, we don't want them being paid for eyeglasses, because we don't want eyeglasses being prescribed that are not necessary just because there's some financial reward. So we've taken that right off the table. So once again, it's a situation where our doctors have to be someone who believes in the mission, who believes in the outreach, and who believes in trying to better the lives of the patients that they're working with. It's very different from sitting in a high-end office and having, you know, the top 2-3% of income earners in the country walking into your store every day. It's a very different environment. So it takes a certain type of individual.
Okay, so you've got to be selective. So your team must be this one committed snowball of just passion and energy and compassion. It must, like you say, I don't regret going into work any day. This must be a great thing for you. You feel that way every day?
Absolutely. You know what? When I was listening to you speak with your students about the program they're in and their obvious joy and love for what they're doing, that's how our team feels. So I certainly, that resonates with me, is when you find people who are passionate about what they do. They're phenomenal to be around, and there's just such a not only a camaraderie, but there's such an energy that comes out of that. Yes,
that's pretty cool.
You know, it's actually really funny, and like I'm just gonna backtrack for a second. When you were saying the part about kind of getting out like that, I guess that risk, because if like that financial thing about like not prescribing, like doctors prescribing glasses that aren't necessary. I laughed because that happened to me actually. When I was in grade 7, I went to an eye doctor and they're like, "You need glasses." So we went, paid like $1,000 for my glasses, and I didn't need them. I went to go get checked by my eye doctor now, and he was like back then, he was like, "You don't need glasses. I don't know why you have glasses." So we just threw all that money down, you know.
I had no idea that was even an issue.
It happens, and I was dumbfounded. He was like, "You can see perfectly fine." I don't know why.
Well, doctors are human beings too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I hope that it wasn't like a financial thing, but
well, you know. There may have been. Zoe, how are your glasses? Are you happy?
Yeah, it's fine. It's just basically for reading and like screens and stuff.
Yeah.
But actually, when I was younger, our school tried doing like an eye clinic, and there's just these things. You looked through these glasses, and they move a stick, and you have to say when it touches a certain line. And every single time, they would tell my mom that I should get checked by an eye doctor. So we would go, we'd pay for that appointment. They'd be like, "No, you're fine." So it's like, yeah, like you said, like that's money going down the drain because people. Yeah.
I would love to see one of these like mobile eye things, because I've never seen this before.
Let's ask the question. So Sean, do you have like a big van with all this stuff?
Like, how does this work?
You can stop in and go to a large building and just set up shop real quickly? Is that how it works now?
Yeah, so I mean, we basically take an entire clinic and throw it in the back of a van, go to a school, and we set up within the school, whether it's a gym, a library, a broom closet, whatever they have for us, we'll set it up there. The idea of doing it in a van is certainly something we've thought of, but what we've actually found is the students are most comfortable in an environment that they know and trust.
Yes.
So it would actually work better for us setting it up in the building where the EAs are there, the teachers there, the principal can be in and out. There's just a level of comfort that comes with that for these students. So that's a big part of the reason why we do it the way we do it, is we want the students to be in an environment where they feel comfortable, where they don't feel threatened. So that's a big part of what happens. So, a couple times a week, we pack everything up in our boxes, put them in the van, drive there, and set up a whole clinic. So it takes us, about an hour or so to do a full clinic
exactly
setup.
What we do for broadcasting.
Yep.
We stick everything in a
exactly.
van and we take it and we set it up.
Yep.
Well, think about this. Now you got the mobile vision care clinic. Is this a franchisable thing, or is it just too dependent on finding the right team? Do you know what I mean?
At this point, I feel like it's mainly it seems to be more of it's a mission almost. Like it doesn't even.
I know,
have to
but I'm
do-
asking
yeah.
Sean here. Is this a franchisable thing for you, or no?
Yeah, I think it probably could be. I mean, like I said, this is not a business that is profit-centric. So when you're looking at selling franchises, you're looking at people who want a significant return on their initial investment.
Yes.
This is more of a mission-based business. So your return on investment comes partially in the return you're giving back to society. You know what I mean? So
yes.
in that regard, it's probably it's not that it's impossible to franchise, but because of the social element of what we do, it would be a more challenging business to franchise.
Well, there's no doubt. Nonprofits always have more difficulty, but it seems the good you're doing, if it were moved to many places, could have even a larger impact than you're having. That's what I'm thinking, because it's just sounds like you're doing something incredible. Like you're changing lives where there was just frustration and confusion,
And is this Is this only here in the city, like in Winnipeg, or are you doing it in other provinces?
No, so we're the only operation of our kind in the country.
In the country.
In the country.
Wow.
It blows my mind.
In the country.
And wait,
there's nothing like it.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying there's literally nothing like what we're doing. Most provinces have something like what you were talking about, Zoe, which was the provincial vision screening, which is basically a series of tests run by people who've never been trained in optics in any way, shape, or form. And they're trying to identify if maybe there's an anomaly that should be looked at. Ours is very different because your eyes are actually being checked by an optometrist on site, not, I'm a split second late saying, right? Because I missed that line.
Yeah.
So ours is a little bit different. It's certainly more in depth. We also look at the health of the eye. There's been several occasions where we've had to send students directly to specialists for surgery because we've caught something that is significant.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge. So you mentioned that, this all happened because of your network. Is that if you were to talk to grade 11 or 12 students, even like I'm talking Zoe and Akira here, would that be your biggest message? Build a network and don't worry about exactly how the network may influence you at that moment. Just build it and something may happen. Because you've seen
100%. And let's be honest, networking is a skill, right? You'll have very few students that feel very comfortable going and introducing themselves to people and just starting a conversation. It's not an easy thing for lots of people. So you kind of have to push yourself out of that it's like public speaking, right?
Yes.
It takes some time to develop those skills. But of all the skills that we learned, certainly within high school, the networking piece, I would say spend as much time as you can becoming comfortable in that, because that network is, for me anyways, it's been absolutely everything.
Yeah, well, look what it's everything. It's been everything for other people. Like, look at how many lives do you think you've changed? How many eyes have you looked at? And how long have you been around, and how many eyes do you think you've looked at?
Yeah, this is year 4. We've tested over 10,000 students in the 4 years. So, lots. About 20% of them have needed eyeglasses. So it gives you some idea. About 2,000 students have gotten eyeglasses, something like that. So that's a lot of people who were struggling to see that are now seeing. So it's a reasonable amount of people's lives that we've managed to have some part in hopefully making better. So that part's been pretty fantastic.
Oh, that's incredible. I'm just, you know what? I'm always amazed by my students, past students who are doing work like this, and I have so many of them. Like those programs that we did way back when really helped students develop their potential and best selves. And I just see you're just one of these students where the seeds were dropped in you, and then you've turned into something incredible. And you're doing incredible work, Sean. I'm just so proud of you, and I'm just so amazed that 2,000 students have eyeglasses and have increased their literacy rates where they would have been struggling, and they would have felt I'm worthless. They would have felt like, why can't I do this like everybody else? And I just think you've made those changes. Like, you've made people think things are possible for me. I'm getting misty-eyed just thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. We get a lot of those moments where you get to just hear the way in which we've managed to have impact on people's lives, and those are the stories that you just love. We just love to hear, hearing them from principals, teachers, resource teachers. It's been a pretty remarkable journey for us. And like I said, to anyone who's listening, who's kind of finding their way through, you never know. You think you're on a path, and I'll be honest, I mean, my family was in this business for years, and we would have never even recognized that there was an opportunity to serve in the way we do within this business. We would have had no idea if it weren't for the educators who said, we have a problem that we need a solution to. This never would have happened.
And that's the consummate entrepreneurial verve, right? Let's figure something out for a real audience that needs it.
Well, and I think that's always the telltale thing, right? You hear lots of entrepreneurial people talk, and they said, look, we want to solve a real problem. We don't want to be a bunch of smart people in a room building something that nobody wants, right? So when you have the opportunity to solve a real life problem rather than build something and then try to create a problem to solve, it's definitely a better scenario for sure.
Yeah, it's the old, don't fall in love with your problem, try to fall in love with the solution, right?
Exactly.
Or something like that. And
I
that's
like that saying.
Well, it's just because we fall in love with our actually it's more about, let me get that, I've got this backwards. Like, you kind of have to fall in love with if you fall in love with your solution, it becomes egocentric. You need to fall in love with that problem and then figure out what's the best way to come to that problem, I think. So amazing stuff. You know what, Sean, this is pretty cool. This was, we really appreciate you being on there. Are there any last words of wisdom for anyone, or Akira, Zoe, Sean, any last thoughts?
You know what, I'm sure they've heard it before, try to love the things that you're doing, because the things you're passionate about, you're going to put the most amount of effort into.
Yes.
Clearly you guys are really enjoying the program you're in, in producing these things and going out to these sporting events and doing that. And that's great. Follow that passion, and along the way, create as great a network as you can. Meet as many people as you can, and you don't go introduce yourself for the purposes of thinking that they're going to be useful to you in the future.
Yes.
Just make truly human connections with people, right? Ones that don't have an ulterior motive. Just meet as many people as you can and develop as many relationships as you can, without thinking that there's going to be some payback for you in the future. Because it's those human connections, those true connections, that are going to be the ones that matter.
Hey, well said, sir. That's a beautiful line. It really is about relationships when all the dust settles, and connecting with people. I like what you said, and about, hey, make it human. Make it human, and don't worry about the outcome, and don't worry about what you'll get out of it. Just think of how you're going to make the world a better place somehow. I love this. Sean, you've been a great guest. Really, really appreciate it. We had a little mix up with the connection, but we'll fix that up. And you know what? I'll talk to you again for sure, because I just like talking to you. I want to go for a coffee with you. Continue to pick your brain. But ladies and gentlemen, anytime. I think we are done. I think we are done, and that is the end of episode number 8 of season 3. Oh my gosh, we have so many episodes of this now. We have so many great stories. So Sean, I appreciate it. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's a real pleasure. And Zoe and Akira, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet the two of you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
And that's it for Adventures in Careerland.